Honorable Men Discord. Terrance Bud Crawford was pulled over at gunpoint. Let's talk about it.
How you see yourself is how you perceived. I see a man strong, gifted, head strapping, never down on his knees, begging. Gotta make a way, even in my darkest hour. Say the odds against me was new. I would never cower.
As always, welcome back to another episode. If you haven't already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and by all means, if you have something you want to talk about, see me in the comments. So let's get straight to this news report. This is from First Alert 6. They're covering the aftermath of Terrance Bud Crawford being pulled over at gunpoint, and then we'll speak about it further. So let's get into this.
After Omaha celebrated hometown boxing champ Bud Crawford's accomplishments with a parade, he's pulled over by Omaha police, setting off a firestorm on social media. Good evening. Thanks for staying up with us. I'm Brian Mastry.
And I'm Zena Taher. Today is Bud Crawford's birthday. He turned 38. What happened at the traffic stop early this morning in downtown Omaha is now the subject of an internal investigation at the police department.
We'll hear from Crawford's security guard who was in the vehicle in a moment. Plus, reaction from the mayor. First, a breakdown of what police say took place this morning. Around 1:30 this morning, Omaha police say they spotted a vehicle driving recklessly near 12th and Capitol. This is near the Steel House where Crawford's after party was being held, which was attended by many, including Mayor Ewing. A traffic stop was conducted on Cass Street, a couple blocks to the north of there. Officers say they ordered everyone out of the vehicle for their safety when they saw a gun on the driver's floorboard. And only after that did they say they identified Bud Crawford by looking at his driver's license. First Alert 6 reporter Andrew Pfeiffer tonight with the version from Crawford's security chief who was in the passenger seat, the same man who rode on the float with Bud during Saturday's parade.
Be a man who can receive his second key to the city and have a firearm pulled on him by the Omaha Police Department all in the same day. Imagine that.
Kasim Shabazz is shaken up.
Man, I thought we were getting ready to lose our lives.
Being the head of Terrance Crawford's security, Shabazz has seen a lot, but nothing like this.
Oh man, it was terrible. It was terrible.
Early Sunday morning, Crawford and his team were leaving an after party following his parade. According to police, they pulled their vehicle over near 12th and Cass Streets for reckless driving. That's where things took a dark turn.
And as soon as he said he had a firearm, the police officer that was on his side became unhinged.
Police immediately drew their weapons, pointing a gun at Shabazz and the pound-for-pound champ.
I literally had my hands on top of the ceiling and inside of the vehicle.
According to police, an officer had identified a firearm on the floor of the vehicle, causing officers to draw their weapons. Kasim says it went down differently.
He never see a pistol, he never see a firearm anywhere. They didn't even see the firearm on me because of the way I was positioned in the vehicle.
Shabazz, Crawford, and 3 others were taken out of the vehicle and put in handcuffs. A short time later, they were released with a driving citation. Then, a video of the incident started circulating on social media.
I was briefed this morning, and my heart sank, to be quite honest.
Earlier this afternoon, we caught up with Mayor Ewing and asked him to share his thoughts.
I was heartbroken that something that was so good would then have an issue that would potentially have people concerned about police-community relations.
Mayor Ewing says he called and talked to Bud following the incident and offered him this.
The most important thing I think that Bud and I talked about is that we would have a thorough investigation and that we would be completely transparent in that investigation.
There was no reason to have drawn guns on us. That no matter how prepared you are, no matter how calm you are, if you run into a rogue police officer who wants to escalate, then he's going to escalate.
For the record, Omaha police are reviewing what happened this morning as part of an internal investigation ordered by the police chief, where interviews with the officers and body camera video will be examined.
Now, we were talking, Andrew, earlier in the newsroom, and you mentioned Crawford's security lead, who you talked to tonight, teaches others what to do if put in this type of situation.
You know, Brian, that's the irony here. He teaches those classes and then it happens to him. Shabazz also is the leader of the Black Agenda Alliance, where he teaches classes on how to de-escalate situations with police. He shared with me what he tells in those classes if you ever find yourself in a similar situation. Now, number one, know the law. Be informed on your rights when carrying a gun. 2, calmly inform the officer of that fact and present all valid IDs. 3, learn to articulate properly, meaning show respect and state your case simply and briefly. And 4, to stay calm and to stay patient. Bottom line, Brian and Zena, Shabazz tells me he doesn't want this to hamper the relationship between the police and the North Omaha community, but he also doesn't want to sugarcoat what happened at that traffic stop. Live in the newsroom, Andrew Pfeiffer, First Alert 6.
Andrew, thank you. We're told both guns, Crawford's and Shabazz's, were legally registered. The police chief has ordered an internal investigation. The mayor stressed that he wants to get answers to what happened, but he also wants Omahans to remember the pride and joy of Saturday's parade and how the night ended shouldn't tarnish that.
Let's go straight to this footage before I even speak on this. This is just joking. This is silly. First of all, body cam will determine whether or not the order of the event actually transpired the way Crawford said it did, or the way the officer said it did. Now, luckily for Crawford, there was 5 passengers. I think one of them that was sitting behind him that shot the video was a female, because I could hear her voice in the video. But that officer is cooked. If he's telling a lie, he's cooked. You can't deny your body camera. And even if he tries to deny his body camera, from the way the bodyguard explained it, there was a officer on the passenger side as well as Crawford's side. So you'd have to look at the footage from the officer on the passenger side. But this officer is cooked. He's cooked, especially if he's lying. It's first of all, it's an embarrassment to the department, because this is not even about the citation. If Bud Crawford was driving recklessly, he deserves a citation. No one's above the law. So let's just skip over the fact that he was pulled over for a justified reason. I'm not here to debate that. But if Bud Crawford actually said to him, and I'm not even saying police have to know who Bud Crawford is, although I think it's silly, because who has repped Omaha more than Bud Crawford? So for an officer to not know who he is, especially the day of a parade, there's not much going on in Omaha, Nebraska. And if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments, but no disrespect to Omaha, Nebraska, but there's nothing going on. Bud Crawford is Omaha, Nebraska. He puts on for that area. So for one particular officer, later on in the evening of the same day he got acknowledged and received his second key, is foolish. Now, if that officer is lying and the body cam says different, he's cooked. He's finished. But let's get to this video, and I'm gonna speak about it further.
Stepping out, seatbelt.
Seatbelt, step out.
I'm opening the door.
You can take
I'm
mine
opening
off
the door.
of me right here on my right. I'm keeping my hands up.
I'm not reaching for no gun, bro.
Step out.
Can I move my phone?
Yeah, that's crazy.
All that serious. All that necessary. Serious. This one, yeah. Serious. Not that deep.
Let's go into some reactions off of TikTok. This is comedian Godfrey. I love his reactions to things. So let's get into Godfrey, and then I have 2 others.
All of a sudden, a couple hours later, Terrance Crawford is held at gunpoint for a traffic stop.
Seatbelt, step out.
I'm opening the door.
You can take
I'm
mine
opening
off
the door.
of me right here.
Congratulations to Terrance Bud Crawford, super middleweight champion. He actually gained weight to fight Canelo, who I'm a big Canelo fan, by the way. but I'm a big Crawford fan, and Crawford gave him the business. Even Canelo said, I couldn't do nothing. Everything I tried. He's scared that I tried. He was too strong. He's too fast. I couldn't do nothing. This is what I love about Crawford. He's a good dude because he even gave Canelo his belts back, showed him respect. I love that about him. But they had a big parade in Omaha, Nebraska. By the way, Terrance, I was born in Lincoln, Nebraska. But let's not get it twisted. Gabrielle Union is from Omaha, Nebraska. Malcolm X from Omaha, Nebraska. So I'm in good company. But he had a big parade because they were welcoming home their champion. And a couple hours later,
I have to immediately take back what I said earlier. I did not know Malcolm X. Forget Gabrielle Union. I did not know Malcolm X was from Omaha, Nebraska. Because I initially said Crawford was Omaha, Nebraska, because who came out of there? Wow. Godfrey, a comedian. Not saying comedians aren't intelligent, because they are intelligent. But wow, I was educated by Godfrey. And that's not even his space. He's a comedian, but wow, I didn't even know that. Thank you, Godfrey. Oof.
Crawford was stopped, traffic stop, at gunpoint by some cops. Gunpoint, because they said it was some reckless driving or some shit like that. He just did a parade in Omaha, Nebraska, and don't tell me that Omaha, Nebraska is big. You know this parade was going on, especially a parade. Police know when there's a parade because they usually are the ones that organize it, block off streets.
So you mean to tell me at roll call, they didn't let you know? All right, so the officer pulled him over how far from the venue that he was just celebrating at, because it was an after party type of thing, a venue. He gets pulled over. So you mean to tell me, let's just say that officer never heard of Bud Crawford, or didn't even know that there was a parade earlier to acknowledge him for his victory against Canelo. You mean to tell me roll call they didn't discuss? So in this vicinity that you're policing, the champion boxer by the name of Terrance Crawford is at that venue. In roll call. Listen, let me let him continue.
And what is up with some of you cops, man? For real. Gunpoint? There's so many videos of you guys de-escalating, being very nice to non-black people. But gunpoint, that's what it is? I'm just going to try to validate your stupidity. Maybe.
And this is not a shot at police officers. This is not an episode taking a shot at police officers. I could do that, but that's not what this is about. I don't want to do that. I have family that's law enforcement. This is not about police officers. This is a isolated situation about that officer. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about that officer. This is just ridiculous. It really is. It's ridiculous. And need I say this? I think I said this already on one of my earlier episodes when I started this channel. The first and only time I've ever had a gun drawn on me was by a police officer. And much like Bud Crawford, I was in a vehicle. I wasn't the driver, I was the passenger. And I had a gun drawn on me. So when I looked out the window, which was rolled down, I had the barrel looking at me. All right? And that's not a made-up story. This happened on the Long Island Expressway out here in New York. Let's continue.
Maybe you bet on Canelo and he got his ass whooped and you were upset because you lost money. I'm being sarcastic, but maybe you lost against Canelo, who I like. Maybe you lost against Canelo because you think he's white, but he's actually Mexican. He's just redhead. Maybe you were like, he beat Canelo. Let me go demasculate him real quick in front of his family. The mayor who he celebrated with is investigating this. Well, I hope you can do. Shout out to Crawford, and I'm sorry that this happened to you, brother. You are a super middleweight champion, regardless of those losers. All of a sudden,
I love Godfrey's energy, man. Shout out to Godfrey.
If I'm Terrance Crawford, I'm confused because I'm like, how you going to give me the key to the city, then lock me up? That's the point of having a key to the city, is that I don't get locked up. Okay? And I got my people with me, all types of stuff, and you trying to embarrass me after I brought pride to the city. That's why you gave me the key. So I had the key to the city. Now, the city is embarrassed Nobody messes with Omaha now. Black people about to boycott Omaha like it's Target. We don't want to go there. If you pull over primetime fighters who brought pride to the city, imagine what you'll do to me. Imagine taking punches from Canelo and then almost losing it all to, I don't know, a regular police officer who got to see the fight for free. Did you watch the fight? That's what I want to know. Did they see the fight? None of those police officers are boxing fans? Obviously not, because they just pull out gats for no reason. If I'm turning...
Let me tell you right now, I think I don't need to say this. If that officer would have fired and hurt Canelo, I'm sorry, hurt Crawford. I can't believe I said Canelo. If that officer would have fired and hurt Crawford, even more so took his life, oh, they would have burned Omaha down. Omaha would have burned down. So the only good thing out of all of this is that he was able to keep whatever composure he did have and not pull the trigger. I'm going to end with this gentleman. Seems like he has some wisdom based on his gray hair. I'm going to give him that respect. We're going to end with some wisdom right now. Let's see what he has to say. And I didn't even listen to this, so we're going to be experiencing this video together. Let's get into it.
Terrance Bud Crawford, 3-time undisputed world champion across 3 different weight divisions in the 4-belt era. He is now a living legend. He's the man who put Omaha, Nebraska on his back, rising through the ranks to become one of the greatest fighters of our time. Just weeks ago, he cemented his legacy as the pound-for-pound best boxer in the world, once again becoming the face of boxing. True to form, he continues to honor his hometown, always placing Omaha front and center. The city recently celebrated him with a parade awarding him his second key to the city, a rare honor that speaks volumes about his impact. But not long after this historic achievement, after the fanfare and recognition, Terrance Bud Crawford was pulled over by the police in his own hometown. Despite his fame, despite his accolades, despite being a global icon and a local hero, officers drew their guns, pulled him from his vehicle, and handcuffed him during a traffic stop. Let's be clear. Everyone knows who Terrance Bud Crawford is, especially in Omaha. He doesn't drink. He doesn't use drugs. Everybody knows this. Those accompanying him were legally licensed to carry firearms, which is permitted under Nebraska law. Yet, none of that mattered. And here's where the deeper truth emerges. As disheartening as this incident is for Terrance, his family, and his community, it serves as a stark reminder of the reality Black Americans face and Black people in general face here in America, regardless of status or success. In a twisted way, I'm almost glad it happened, not for the pain it caused, but for the clarity that it brings. To me, it was a warning shot, a message from the system. We don't care who you are. We don't care what you've accomplished. Don't ever think you're free to move through this world without consequences. That's how I see it. You know, you may hold the key to the city, but the city will remind you it's not yours. You are still Black. You must still know your place. That's the message. And it's a sad commentary on the state of things. But Black people must always remain vigilant. Never get too comfortable, no matter how much you've achieved, no matter how many accolades you've earned, no matter how many banners you've carried for the establishment, putting Omaha on his back. They will never fully trust you. They will never allow you to represent them without reservation. And so when they feel threatened by your success, they'll find a way to knock you down a peg. Something as petty as a traffic stop becomes a tool of humiliation. So understand this. The oppressor is often mediocre, insecure, and petty. Jealousy runs deep. So while I'm not saying you should shrink yourself or play their game. I am saying be aware, know your surroundings, know when to celebrate, and know how to protect yourself in and out of celebration. Peace.
Wow, wow, wow. The delivery of that gentleman deserves replay. I'm not going to replay it, but because it's part of the episode, do yourself a favor and replay it. Better yet, go to his page and support this gentleman. Wise man. DSAN 327. DSAN 327. Salute. Well said. I couldn't have ended my episode on a better note. And like I told you all, that was my first time actually listening to it. As I was piecing together clips from TikTok, I just saw his image. And I said, older gentleman, beard filled with gray. I took a chance. I said, probably has something of value to say. Didn't listen to it until I just played it just now. And wow, he ended on a strong note. Well said. There's nothing else I need to say to that. And I understood that a long time ago. But I'm glad I was able to end this episode with what he had to say, because everything he said is all facts. All facts. I don't disagree with not one bit. Wow. Well said. And I could only hope to continue to elevate mentally and to be able to articulate myself in the manner in which he articulated himself, because those are the end goals for me. Excuse me. With all that water I'm drinking, I'm over here, my voice is cracking, but that's an end goal, to be able to articulate myself like that gentleman did. And for those of you that watch this channel and consider yourself an honorable man, that should be your end goal also. Let's elevate. You know, I know this is not about elevating, but this is about highlighting and addressing what happened to Terrance Bud Crawford. But wow, well said by that gentleman. This whole thing was silly. It was silly. It was silly. It really was. And it's hard not to think that the officer, like this gentleman pointed out, was looking at it from a standpoint of like, yeah, I don't care what you've won. I don't care who you are to the people of Nebraska. I'm going to make an example out of you. Who knows if that was that officer's energy? And you can say, oh, you're rushing to judgment. Yeah, I am speculating. I don't know for certain. But what we all will know for certain is whether or not he was lying about how everything transpired. If Bud Crawford, in fact, let him know I have a firearm, and then you draw your firearm, he's cooked. He's cooked. But listen, that's all I have on this episode. What's your thoughts? I'll see you in the comments. And as always, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. I appreciate everyone who gave me the shout out recently, especially at that event for Two Legends NYC gym. Every last person, salute. All the artists, salute. Great performances, salute. NDO champ, super salute. Gentlemen. Everyone that gave me a shout out, salute. Let me just say this correctly, because I want to make sure I said that. I said NDO champ. Excuse me. But I really appreciate it, because what I don't let everyone know is that there's a lot of no's involved in putting together this content. You know, you reach out to people in person and you get no's. You know, they're not all yeses. So when I do get a yes, I really want to acknowledge it, because I don't want people to think that I take it for granted. And that's all the shout outs. From the very first shout out, it's a sincere thank you from me to you all. You know, so shout out, you know, sincere shout out again to Flawless. A shout out to Flawless. You know, shout out to Fina Music. And I know I'm missing someone. Indio Champ. The group. I do not have their names queued up. One moment, I'm gonna actually take my time because I'm not gonna skip anyone. Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, thank you to official XTO, the men's group, the bachata group. Special thank you to them. Obviously, thank you to the two owners of Two Legends NYC. Thank you for your shout outs. Flawless again, Flawless Official, or it's Flawless Official. You can check him out on Flawless Official. Thank you to him again. And did I miss anyone? Fina Music. Thank you to Fina Music. And thank you to Vita TV _ ETH. That's Vita TV _ ETH. All right. Just have to thank you. All right. And thank you to Elizabeth. Thank you to Elizabeth for the shout out. I appreciate all the shout outs. Appreciate everyone for watching all the videos. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I drop episodes daily, 5 p.m. Eastern time. And as always, stay honorable. Take care.